The opposition's urging the government to move quickly as it relates to COVID-19 infections. 59 new COVID-19 infections confirmed in country, and Foreign Affairs Minister gives an update on Bahamian diplomats in Haiti. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian. It's Thursday, July 8th. Thanks for staying with us. As the country's primary healthcare facility, Princess Margaret Hospital, has confirmed it's at capacity, particularly with COVID-19 cases and with fears of a new variant of the coronavirus, the official opposition is again expressing concerns and presents a 10-point plan to help reduce the spread or the strain on the healthcare system. Our Leah Cooper has the details.
The efforts of the government in managing the spread of COVID-19 in the country has been inadequate, and that's according to Chair of the Progressive Liberal Party COVID-19 Task Force, Senator Dr. Michael Darville, who's urging the government to act quickly to protect the country from COVID variants, noting an uptick in COVID-19 infections and the announcement that the Princess Margaret Hospital is at capacity. In a statement released on Wednesday, Dr. Darville says the Ministry of Health appears to be operating in a very haphazard manner and has yet to confirm the results of COVID-19 samples submitted to labs abroad weeks ago to determine if any variant has made its way to our shores. Dr. Darville presents a 10-point plan to reduce the strain on the country's healthcare system and prevent further lockdowns and damage to our economy. The first being speed vaccinations. Dr. Darville says the country must access other credible medical supply chains to get FDA-approved vaccines and prioritize sourcing vaccines with the best efficiency against emergent variants. He's also suggesting that the government prioritize public education, expand testing and make it free, improve contact tracing, hire and retain nurses, procure better masks. As he says, high-quality masks are needed, especially for those who interact with large numbers of people in the course of their employment and those with underlying medical conditions. He also suggests improving ventilation in schools, healthcare settings, workspaces, and multi-generational homes, providing safe, adequate facilities for COVID-19 positive individuals to isolate, tracking the science on vaccine efficiency against the Delta variant, and finally, building trust. Dr. Darville says pandemic spending must finally be made transparent as the details of hundreds of millions of dollars in spending remain undisclosed to the public. He says the competent authority cannot ask the people to trust its leadership while it violates its own laws. Reporting for Jcn News, I'm Leah Cooper.
Another 19 COVID-19 cases in country, and now cases have surpassed 13,000, with the Ministry of Health confirming additional 59 COVID-19 infections for Wednesday, July 7th. 46 of those newly confirmed cases are here in the capital, 4 with a history of travel within 14 days, 7 on Bimini and Cat Key, 4 on Grand Bahama, and 1 case each on Eleuthera and Exuma. National total cases now at 13,024. Active cases are at 829, with 50 of them hospitalized, 4 in the intensive care unit. Also on Wednesday, 609 tests were completed, 541 negative results, 6 repeat tests, and 3 inconclusive findings. 33 cases recovered on the same day, pushing total recoveries to 11,855. The death toll remains at 252. 110,140 tests have been completed nationwide since March of 2020. Diplomats at the Bahamian Embassy in Haiti are still sheltering in place as the country's borders and airports remain closed following a declaration of state of emergency off the heels of the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. This update coming from Foreign Affairs Minister Darren Henfield in an interview with Jcn News. Asked if the government intends to get those 4 diplomats home, the minister says this.
That's a major part of our consideration at the moment, Leo. We won't leave them there for any longer than we have to. Right now, the ports are closed, the airports are closed, and the shipping lanes are closed. The shipping ports are closed, so that's our priority right now.
Haiti's President Jovenel Moïse was assassinated at his private residence in Port-au-Prince, Haiti on Wednesday morning. Haiti's interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph telling the media that unidentified gunmen stormed Mr. Moise's home at around 1 a.m., fatally shooting him and injuring his wife, First Lady Martine Moise, who is being treated in hospital in Miami at this time and is said to be in stable but critical condition. The Cabinet Office on Wednesday announced that in observance of the death of President Moise, the Bahamas, as a member state of CARICOM, will fly the national flag and the CARICOM flag at half-mast on the 8th and 9th of July and on the day of the late president's funeral. While there are calls from around the world for a full investigation into the assassination of Haiti's president, in fact, Amnesty International Director Erica Guevara Rosas says the killing of President Moise must be immediately and impartially investigated alongside the grave human rights violations and chronic impunity that ordinary people have suffered under his watch, adding that the armed assault that reportedly killed the Haitian president and injured his wife is a shocking indicator of serious human rights and political crisis that Haiti has been facing for years. Director Guevara Rosas, in an Amnesty International press release, suggests that this is a wake-up call for the international community and for the Haitian authorities who have overseen chronic impunity and ignored the calls of human rights defenders that have paved the way for such a serious crisis. Earlier this year, thousands of people took to the streets of the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince, and other cities for renewed protests against the government, demanding the resignation of President Moise. Amnesty International says it's concerned at the potential escalation of violence in coming days and will be carefully monitoring any potential protests that ensue, attacks against human rights defenders, and attacks against ordinary Haitians. The organization calls on the Haitian authorities to put human rights at the center of their response to the political crisis. You're watching Jcn News. When we return, finance officials given the go-ahead for crowdfunding and some good news for local Bahamian musicians. Stay with us.